Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the James Harden situation. Basically, he's got a player option this year, but it's kind of weird. There's a lot of aminosity in the air, I would say. You have Philadelphia saying, yeah, we don't want to pay him a max contract. They've got James Harden, I want a max contract. And what's tough is, and it always is, especially with super teams, as a lot of you guys were pointing out in my video yesterday about Kyrie and a Russell Westbrook flip, is like when you have these super teams, when you're assembling these super teams, what sucks is the players are usually a little bit on the older side, and you usually have to overpay them to have them and keep them, retain them, get them, whatever the case may be. And so with 32-year-old James Harden, if you're Philadelphia and you're like, we got to anticipate paying this dude for, 4 seasons, he'll be 36 years old. Like, is that in our franchise's best interest? No. I mean, it's clear as day. The answer is no. Like, is it in your best interest for next season? Most likely. Yeah, most likely. Season after that, plausible. Season after that, plausible. I guess 4 years is kind of plausible with guys like, Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul, LeBron James. But the issue with James Harden is health-wise, physically-wise, fitness-wise, he has never really been, one that strikes me as a longevity player. I don't think he's going to be, playing till he's 39 years old. So, what's the rumor mill? Well, basically you have James Harden saying, all right, I'm gonna look around in free agency. Because as Patrick Beverley mentioned, as we were just talking about, does it make sense for your franchise to give this man the max? Absolutely not. But you have to do it in order to either retain him or acquire him. So the 3 teams apparently that he's going to be looking into are the New York Knicks, which always makes sense. I think him on the Knicks it'd be pretty cool. They'd have to figure the rest of the roster out. I don't think that team is as close to winning as a player at 32 years old would hope. The other team, Portland, that would be pretty interesting as well. And then the final team, the team that makes the most sense on the court and off of the court, are the Miami Heat. So I would say 100%, like, if James Harden were to actually decide to decline this player option because he's going to get a max contract from one of those 3 teams or a different team that we haven't mentioned, is going to be really interesting. I'll start off with the least likely. I think the least likely of those 3 teams are the Portland Trailblazers. Harden this past season let's look at his Philadelphia stats: 21 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 10.5 assists, 1.2 steals. So, even though Portland is kind of tweaking out their roster, they're kind of almost, it's not a rebuild, it's not even, I guess it's kind of like a retool, if you will. Like they've now finally decided to build around Dame. I don't know how it took them that long to figure that one out, or maybe it's just bad wording, but you should have built around Dame when you drafted him, which is what they've pretty much been doing, so I don't get that. But new management over in Portland, and I would say, Dame's the same kind of situation where he's 32 years old, but, he's on a contract right now, so it's like Portland's got to decide. You have the 7th pick. You're not going to acquire a superstar. You're not going to acquire a star. You're not going to, most likely, you're not going to even acquire with the 7th pick in this year's draft somebody who can help you get to the playoffs this season. A guy like Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham from this past season. Or not Cade, throw in Jalen as well there, but Scotty and I meant to say only Scotty and Evan because they made the playoffs. Portland would be super dope, but it just doesn't make much sense for Harden to turn down, like he's been in Houston recently. He's been in Houston, Brooklyn, Philadelphia. We all know he likes his nightlife. We know he likes an active city. I've never been to Portland. I think the Blazers are on the right track, but at 32, Damian Lillard being 32, you kind of have to figure it out quickly. And, there's no third guy there. Maybe that would be in their best interest, but maybe you re-sign Nurkic. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like he's getting that big of an upgrade going to Portland as opposed to what he's getting or what he's had with Brooklyn and Philadelphia, if that makes sense. The Knicks are kind of almost in the same situation to me as Portland, where it makes a little bit more sense because you have, I guess, a lot more younger, older talent, like a lot more younger talent that's not proven themselves in the league, but like they're good players like Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. Like, those are solid players. They have a good roster, right? They made the playoffs last year. They got a solid seed. And then this year, it just wasn't the same, whether, injuries or whatever your reasoning is going to be. New York is a much bigger market than Portland, and it's on the East Coast. It's by Brooklyn, it's by Philadelphia. So I think that it just makes a lot more sense to me than him flying all the way to Portland and, getting maxed out there. So while their rosters, they're not the same rosters, clearly, but like they're not title contenders. Does James Harden make them immediate title contenders, both Portland and New York? Like, I guess technically, like, every team has a shot at the title, but I wouldn't throw the Knicks or the Blazers, if they were to acquire James Harden in free agency, as just like immediately like Eastern or Western Conference favorites. Like, not at all. Miami's a little bit different. So obviously South Beach, James Harden seems like, I bet you James Harden's favorite place in the NBA outside of Houston, like his favorite place to travel to play games in, is probably Miami. Like, Miami, of all the cities outside of probably like, New York's right there, I guess. Miami's just different though, right? You're in Florida, you're in South Beach, there's an ocean right there, it's warm. Like, he definitely loves that club scene. And so, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, it makes a ton of sense. You're playing with OGs, Kyle Lowry. You're playing with Jimmy Buckets. You're playing with Bam Adebayo. You're reuniting with PJ Tucker, Tyler Hero. Like, that, they wouldn't be, I don't think they'd be able to have, I know for a fact, they wouldn't be able to have every single player on their roster right now. They wouldn't just be able to retain everybody, sign James Harden, and it's all fine and dandy. It's the same roster, just one extra addition. Financially, there is no way that makes sense, or that would be possible. But I think James Harden going to Miami, if he's going to actually leave in free agency, is the one that makes the most sense. Now, he's a lot of money. He's worth a lot of money. So who would it be out of Miami? I'm not quite sure. If I had to pick one of their big three, it would probably be like, I mean, maybe you could get away with Hero and Rob, but like I doubt it. You're probably gonna have to lose Lowry. You'd probably have to lose Lowry. I don't want to get rid of JB. I think JB and James Harden would be the perfect kind of duo, because buckets would keep Harden accountable, and then Bam's just an all-around dynamic center stud. So I think it'd be really interesting. At the end of the day, if I had to make a prediction, I think James Harden will be in Philadelphia next season maxed out. So I don't think anything happens. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.